This sentence completion question contains two blanks. The sentence reads, blank the team leader had been told by the HR manager that continuing to overload his team with tasks would be blank to his employees. He insisted on tightening the schedules. Tightening the schedules is an example of how someone can overload their team with tasks. The sentence tells us that once the team leader was told by the HR manager that continuing to overload his team was something, he then tightened the schedules. From this, we can see that the first blank and the second blank are very dependent on one another. If the second blank means something like good, in other words, the HR manager thought that overloading the team with tasks would be a good thing, and then the team leader proceeded to tighten the schedules, that would mean that the first blank should mean something like because, as that would tell us that as a result of the HR manager saying that overloading the team with tasks is good, the team leader then tightened the schedules. However, if the second blank means something like bad, in other words, the HR manager thought that overloading the team with tasks was a bad thing, but the team leader still tightened the schedules, then the first blank should highlight this contrast, and it should mean something like although. We can therefore go through all the options and see if any pairs of words connect in either of these ways. The words because and disadvantageous do not fit this pattern. Disadvantageous means that something is bad, but because tells us that there is a causation from one thing to the other. But we would be looking for a contrast, so we can rule out this option. The words despite that and instrumental also do not fit this pattern. Instrumental means that something is important and it has a good meaning, but a good meaning would need the first blank to mean because, so that there's a causation. Despite that means a contrast, so we can rule out this option. The words even though and unassailable do not fit the sentence. Unassailable means that something is certain. It doesn't make sense to say that overloading his team with tasks would be unassailable, so we can rule out this option. The words since and incremental also do not fit the sentence. Incremental means that something happens slowly and in stages, but it doesn't make sense to say that overloading his team with tasks would be incremental. That's neither good nor bad, so we can rule out this option. This leaves us with the correct answer of although and detrimental. Detrimental means that something is bad or terrible, and although provides the required contrast. The sentence therefore reads, although the team leader had been told by the HR manager that continuing to overload his team with tasks would be detrimental to his employees, he insisted on tightening the schedules.